Hi, welcome to today's YouTube video. I'm Lar. Today in the garage we have a 2013 Range Rover Sport with a 3 litre diesel engine. Today we're going to use the JLM Extreme Intake Clean. The intake, as I was saying in our previous video, about a petrol and a diesel, the intake is under real attack from emission-related contaminants coming back into the intake via the EGR valve, via the crankcase, PCV valve breathing. The reason why the manufacturers are doing this is purely down to emissions. If we can reduce the bang in the combustion chamber, then the emissions will be lower. That's why we use EGR, which is exhaust gas recirculating valve. So also with modern diesels, in the last 15 years, there'll be a DPF, the diesel particular filter. This is adding more stress on the engine and on the intake. So modern diesels, the intake system has an awful lot more to do than it may have done in previous years, maybe 20, 30 years ago, with EGR and DPF and SCR systems all added to the engine to reduce emissions. An awful lot of the byproducts in the exhaust are getting recirculated via the EGR, the exhaust gas circulating valve, back into the intake. This is a dirty gas. Obviously, it's coming out of the combustion chamber in the exhaust, so it's quite dirty, quite full of soot and other contaminants. But because manufacturers are driven to do these things to bring down emissions, they can bring down emissions by sending dirty exhaust back into the intake. And once it goes into the intake and then into the engine, they bang then in the engine. Because there's not much oxygen left in the exhaust gases, then the bang in the combustion chamber on the power stroke is not that great. So that brings down the power of the engine and then reduce the power output of the engine. This then has a way of actually reducing emissions. So once we start doing that, all those dirty gases are getting sent back into the intake. The intake is under real stress to deliver what its primary function is: deliver clean, cool air into the combustion chamber via the intake valve. The intake is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And only recently we have started to see on diesel engines, I think it's around Euro 6 emission standard, that we start seeing oxygen sensors put into the exhaust of a diesel. Prior to that, they were not on diesels, as far as I'm aware. They were on petrol cars, definitely since fuel injection, but since more really electronic fuel injection and catalytic converters, that really was the start of oxygen sensors put on petrol cars. But on diesels, it's only a recent add on to the emissions system. With that being the case, the intake now has so much more, let's call it, contaminants fired at it. Even on the new with AdBlue or SCR, selective catalyst reduction agent, the potential for AdBlue, or what's left of the AdBlue, which after it hits the exhaust, is really urea. Potential for urea then to get back into the intake has increased because of low pressure EGR valves. So modern cars have 2 EGR valves. So yet again, they're putting more dirty exhaust gases with contaminants back into the intake. So the intake is really under stress and is really working hard to deliver clean and cool air as efficient as it can. Ultimately, it's failing because if something is near as dirty, then it's dirty. Added to that then with the crankcase vapors from the oil coming back up through the PCV valve, the positive crankcase ventilation valve, this then turns into like a gummy, sticky substance that sticks to the walls of the intake manifold. Added then onto your exhaust gases, and it turns quite carbony, very carbony actually. In fact, and over time it can really block up the intake so bad that no chemical in the world will ever clean down the intake, and you will have to get intrusive and start using walnuts and other kind of mediums to take that carbon away. In HV Dennis, what we try to do in the garage is try to use preventative maintenance, just like the medical world uses, prevention is better than the cure. And this way, on diesels, for clean the intake, we use the JLM Extreme Intake Clean. We find it a very, very good product, and it does really, really work. And on top of that, it's a very safe product. We have used our products in the past with cleaning the diesel, but ultimately they actually worked, but they weren't that safe, and we felt very nervous using them. So we kind of pulled back. We had on a podcast there towards the end of last year, we had met Gilbert Group, the CEO of JLM, and he reached out to me after the podcast and said, would you try using the product? We have used it and we find it phenomenal. This is about our 10th, 11th car using the product there, and it's just remarkable results. Really happy with the results, really safe, no knocks and bangs when the product is working, and really cleans the intake. So that's a real win. The product itself is not combustible, so it doesn't cause the engine to pre-detonate or that kind of thing where other products can. The product does go through the cylinder and then goes through the cylinder and then out the exhaust. And then once you drive the car after you run the product, it then clears out the exhaust. It is a two-stage product. The first stage coats all the carbon on the intake, softens it up, and then the second part of the product is a kind of a flush. So it kind of catches it and then into the cylinder and then out into the exhaust. We have used it on the 3 litre. This is a 3 litre Lion engine that Land Rover, Ford, and the PSA group call it. This is a derivative of the 2.7 from back in 2002, I think, came out in the PSA world first. It gives us on the 3 litre and on the 2.7, it's very easy to access the intake. We do use this product. The product has an application disc for bigger intakes and smaller. It simply sits like that, and we just place it against the intake there. It gives us, this is after the turbo and after the intake, after the turbo and after the intercooler, and we place this close to the throttle, what would be called the throttle flap. There's no throttle flaps really on a diesel, but it's more of an EGR flap. We place as close to that flap as we can, so the product can really get close to the intake and clean that carbon. If we place the tool before the intercooler or the turbo, there's potential for the chemical to pool in the turbo and pool in the intercooler, and you wouldn't want that. So we're lucky on this engine that it gives us a very, very easy opportunity. There's 2 duty clips there, and there off comes the pipe. We have the car running, place this on, and then we set the tool up to let the product go in. It's a very, very slow process. It's about probably a 2-hour process in total, with 20 minutes stop in the middle to let the first part of the product soak into the carbon. So on the 3 litre engine, I say it's very simple. It's just a number 7 nut runner. These are the perfect tool for jubilee clips, as it doesn't overstress the jubilee clip when tightening, loosening. There's no real problem of stressing the jubilee clip. So we literally have the pipe off, and it gives us a good chance to inspect the pipe. Bit of wear there on the pipe where it could be chafing. Yeah, no, it's okay. Pipe's okay. So I say we have the pipe off now. All we do is got to start up the car and then connect on the tool. So I'll do that now. Just wipe the hands. So literally you have the car running there now. This is the intake, it's very, very close. The intake manifold. Literally just place this tool. And that's the tool ready to go. So we have the tool hooked up. We have an airline in there. We have the application face right against the intake. We have the bottle preloaded with the stage 1 chemical. And well, we have a little valve here and an adjustment screw. There's 2 markers, there's a marker here and a marker here. And the delivery of the chemical is so slow that it cannot pass from here to here in under 10 seconds. So really 10 seconds is a sweet spot between here to here. 11 seconds, 9 seconds, it ain't going to hurt anybody. But ideally we want to have it in that nice sweet spot. So we'll open the valve and we'll adjust until the chemical comes out. Oh, there it comes. It's going a bit fast. So we just got to slow it down. And that's really it there now. So we have it set up. The chemical is working its way out of the container, down the delivery tube, down to the application interface, and then on into the intake. I say it's a really, as you can see how slow it is, probably a little bit slow, too slow. Just a little bit, and you just need to fine tune it. Once you have it set there that's fine tuned, it's literally walk away. It's virtually walk away, I'd say. Probably worth going back every 15, 20 minutes, just have a look on it. So that's it there now, walking away. We can leave that and walk away and do another job. You can hear the change in the pitch of the engine as the chemical is getting sucked in. So we have the first stage done there now. As I said before, the stage step 1 and step 2. Step 2 is probably twice the amount of chemical in step 2 as is in the bottle of step 1. Sure, that's probably taking about 45 minutes there to an hour. There's no more chemical left in the bottle, so now we have to wait for about 20 minutes to give a soakage time. So that's where the engine's knocked off. So we leave that away for 20 minutes, and then we'll obviously take out the application canister, give it a good shake, put step 2 in it, and then run the car again. That way then that will have cleaned, we'll have removed all the contaminants in the intake, all the carbon deposits, and then it's gone through the system, and then we'll give it a good drive after it. The benefit of using this is obviously the customer does actually feel a difference after we have serviced the car using the product. In the industry, and especially servicing diesels, it's very difficult for the customer to actually notice when the car was serviced. You change the oil and the filter and the air filter and the pollen filter and the fuel filter and so forth. Unless they're really badly blocked up, the customer doesn't really feel a difference in the car, which provides a challenge to the industry. You know, you're asking customers to pay X amount and you pay it, but yet the car to them doesn't feel any different. Yeah, we know in the industry it does a world of difference for the car, for the longevity of the engine and so forth. But you know, back in the 80s, when most people drove petrol cars, the car would be kind of spluttering after about 3,000 or 4,000 miles. You'd go in, the mechanic would put a new set of spark plugs, new set of points, adjust the valves, slightly tweak the carburetor, and the car would come out like a sports car. With modern management systems, we haven't got that opportunity. But when we use the likes of this product, when the customer drives the car, their feedback is they can feel power coming back into the car. So they can feel a difference in the car, which is a great thing. You know, in other industries, if you go to an electronics store and you buy a TV and put it on the wall, yeah, you know to spend your money on, you can see it. But in the motor industry, it's when you're doing servicing and maintenance, it's very, very difficult to see what you're getting, especially servicing. You know, if a wheel bearing falls off the car, clearly you can see, or tire bush, you can see where your money is going. But from a service and maintenance point of view, it's very, very difficult. Products like this do certainly help us when the client says, oh, no, it's different straight away. So that's also another win-win using the product. I say it's safe, it works, and we get great feedback. I said this is 10th, 11th vehicle using this. We've so much success with it. We've put an order for 100 kits. So we're back at the car. We have just started the car up after letting it sit for 20 minutes to let stage 1 absorb into the carbon in the intake. We're just literally going to hook up the application valve. It's just as simple as that. You then just go over to the far side. So we have it connected now, the delivery valve. We also have the valve now on the intake valve. Just literally open it and we should deliver the stage 2 chemical. Probably going a bit faster, try to slow it down. Back to our 10 seconds between here and here. As you see, it's a clear product, the flush chemical. The flush chemical is a clear product as opposed to the step 1 product is a kind of a white in colour. But that's it there, we just leave it there till it runs out. And it's really that simple. So it's a simple product to use, it's very effective, very safe, and we got great feedback. Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel so we can create more content. Thank you.